You feel me?
I'm happy to, but I don't know how much I'm gonna be able to,
It's more than us, dude. More than us, I bet. But so yeah, we'll do a quick introduction to the show, then we'll introduce you, Ryan, if that's cool. Lauren, you good?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So let's get it.
What up, y'all? You're now listening to Infused Influence, where we're infused by weed culture, cannabis business, and its politics through conversations with special guests. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
All right. This is WICN. This is Major Bloom. This is Infused Influence, and I am your co-host, Ulysses. Today we got Lorian stepping in for Rayvon.
Hello. Yeah, Rayvon's chilling right
He's
now.
At home.
He's at home.
Bro, he just picked up 15 pounds, bro.
He
just picked up 15 pounds, and there was a mistake on the invite. Like, he got removed from his calendar. So he's like, I'm having lunch, bro. I was lifting weights.
I've noticed.
I'm tired.
That's funny.
That's
he
funny,
was
right?
lifting 15 pounds of weed.
Little 15-pound curls.
Working out right
He was
there.
working out, bro. That's what we call working out.
Moving work.
For real, man. But yeah, now we got a special guest today. I introducing this guy. I got a lot of respect for young dudes that are in like government, policy
politics,
work. You know what I'm saying? Because I grew up not understanding how that worked all the way through high school when they taught it, but then you go to college and you don't really get an opportunity to teach it. So then it's like you get real world experience. So I think I've heard this dude's name long enough to know that he's putting in work here in the Massachusetts market. And I don't want to butcher it. It's Ryan Dominguez, right?
Yeah, Dominguez.
Dominguez. What's up, bro?
Appreciate it.
How are you? Yeah,
I'm doing
man.
good. I appreciate the invite to the show.
Oh, of course,
Yeah.
man. Of course. And I appreciate the work that you
Welcome.
do. You know what I'm saying? Just as a young person that is, I guess, accessible, but then also relatable to things in the political world as it relates to cannabis, bro.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, cannabis, you don't think about it as a political kind of industry.
Right.
A lot of the folks who were in the legacy market or came in before, didn't think about it politics-wise, but everything's politics with cannabis.
for sure, man.
Like the whole process of just getting open here in Worcester was all politics on the local level, on the state level with the CCC. So just having like folks who have, been in the system and like been able to navigate both local and state politics, I think is just helpful. So
Yeah, man.
I'm happy to do it.
No, that's what's up, bro. So tell us about your story, bro. Like I know from you calling me a few weeks ago, you got a California number, bro. You come over here looking like how's he say, Taina?
What do they call it? Yeah, I know.
Like native,
Tatiana or whatever.
The native Spanish people, bro.
Yeah,
You are Spanish though.
No, I'm not
No.
Spanish. I know, and that's the thing that
Yeah, it's
trips
bad for me.
everybody out because where I'm from in California, San Francisco, there's a lot of like my kind out there. But when I came out here to Boston, there's not a lot of my kind. So I'm Filipino actually.
Oh, so let's clap that up, bro. Let's shout out to the Filipino people out there.
Shout out to the
Filipino
Philippines.
For real.
Y'all
Yeah,
lit.
Pinoy,
I'm just gonna-
yeah.
Y'all
Lit,
lit. I'm not gonna
bro.
lie. You understand?
Food
They're
and
good at everything. Music. Like it's just oh my god.
Yeah,
I
that's
just love it.
what's up,
It's just
bro.
fun to hang out.
Oh, that's cool, bro. So how did you get to Massachusetts from Cali, bro?
Yeah, I was for some reason trying to escape the Bay Area, California, and just like experience something different. I didn't really travel a lot outside of my state when I was younger, and so thinking about going to college, I was looking at a lot of places on the East Coast. Northeastern University had this great scholarship program for first generation kids, looking for kids that are from different states.
Yeah.
And so got a full ride over to Northeastern
Bro, you're a Husky?
University. Yeah, I'm a
Did
Husky.
you know I was a Husky?
No, I didn't.
Bro,
Wow. Look
shut
at that.
up,
Yeah,
dude.
shout out to the Huskies.
Yo, that's what's up, bro.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, dude.
Damn it! I should have went.
Yeah, you should have worn like
Wait, so
black and red. Yeah.
What years were you there?
Yeah, so I graduated in 2012.
Okay.
Oh.
All
Yeah,
right,
did we have any
cool.
crossover?
I was there at 2013 is when I started graduate school, bro.
Gotcha.
It was one of the greatest experiences of my life, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying,
Northeastern
like-
really put me on, honestly, like with the co-op program, being able to
Right.
get internships in politics both here as well as internationally.
Right.
It really just kind of made me want to study politics a little bit more. And
Bro,
I think
that's what's
just
up.
from a young age, didn't even think about it. But
Right.
once I got into school, getting into history, getting into politics was just something I was always interested in.
Bro, you're a husky, bro. That's
Yeah,
amazing. I
exactly.
didn't know that.
You know what you guys just did? I was already thinking about trying to do my master's and applying to there, and now that I just hear this good stuff about them, I'm like,
Bro.
maybe I'll do it again. Maybe I'll apply again because I could have went there undergraduate, but
Oh, for sure.
it was like Becker here, and then like there was a little confusion with it because
Right.
I had recruiting and all that stuff. They want to know you to interview all that stuff, but I was like, oh, Becker #1 here. Let me just go there.
Right.
But I feel like it would have been so cool just to.
Bro,
I heard
pre-COVID,
so much
bro,
about that school, man.
The location is beautiful. The campus spread is beautiful.
I just heard the
And
networking.
the networking, bro.
Yeah, it's just such.
Yeah, man. Because there's a lot of people. It's a big population. So once you, especially in the Boston area, like I'll tell you, one of the first people I met was this dude. This is an Indian guy. I won't say his name, bro.
Yeah.
But like, it was literally like the week after I finished, and he was an investor in a medical dispensary, the first one. And I'm like, what are the odds? Because at that time in 2016, we had voted on it, and I was like, all right, I want to learn a little bit more. And I had met him through a different industry. I was selling solar, so I was trying to put solar on his hotel.
Oh, okay.
And like, he brought me to his office. He had all these plans on the floor, and it was just an idea in my head at the time. But the fact that he went to Northeastern and then also was an investor in one of the early medical places, I'm like, that kind of like propelled me a little bit more. When we talk about networking, you know what I mean?
exactly.
Because we had that like husky conversation and just like how his career transpired after graduating, you know what I mean? And that was one of the big things he said too, was that like the network is so vast and like, it helped him push forward in his career.
Yeah,
You
and
know
I
what
think
I
a
mean?
lot of people who went to Northeastern, like, it's not just these academics, you know what I mean?
Right.
There's like really people out here hustling and
Oh,
trying
for
to
sure,
like,
bro.
get
Everyone
to
gets
their
some
career.
Dude,
Like,
Napster,
exactly.
Napster was
Yeah, about to
originated
say,
in
I
the
hear all
halls
this-
of
Exactly.
Almost everyone like that's I feel like a lot of people that are big and famous have some connection to Northeastern.
Right.
Like regardless of what school they went to, they
Right.
know someone that can like
Right.
it's just hilarious. Like,
Right.
I know.
Well, no, that's what's up, bro. So you got a scholarship out of high school, bro.
Yeah.
So what was that like? Did you like know anyone out here on the East Coast, or you just?
No, I came out here solo dolo, and honestly, just kind of just try to learn a little bit about the culture out here in Boston. You know, kind of my friends kind of took me under their wing. Like, met a lot of great people, and actually, how I got into politics was one of the people who I was in the scholarship group with. Ended up running to become a local state rep.
Wow.
Her name was Representative China Tyler out of Boston.
Oh.
And so we were in the same scholarship group. She knew I was studying politics. And so when she won her campaign, she asked me to come on and like help out as her chief of staff. And
Wow, bro.
that
Fresh out of school.
no, she was actually 26, so a few years after
Gotcha,
she had
bro.
graduated. But I think at the time she was one of the youngest people who became a politician.
Right.
Like as a 26-year-old single mom, like she
Right.
just had like a really great story, a great work ethic. She was from Boston, from Roxbury, so she
26?
understood. Yeah, I know. At 26, I can't even imagine.
Like
Dude,
even
see,
30 is young for a
That reminds
politician.
me of Donahue, bro.
Yeah,
Donahue's
exactly.
been on this show, and I always tell him that he's like the LeBron of politics because he was kind of like recruited before he got out of high school. You know what I mean? And then like he goes on to I think Holy Cross here, so he's involved with local politics, and he graduates and goes to Clark, and he's been politics like all the way through, bro.
Yep,
And that's like
100%.
I'm the other side. I've been selling weed since I was a kid. He's been in politics since he was a kid, so I respect it.
And then you guys cross paths.
We
in
cross paths,
cannabis
bro.
and-
Yeah. No, he's definitely a good dude, man. But yeah, there's longevity in this for such a young person. But you too. So what did you do when you got out of college or when you graduated?
Yeah, so when I got out of college, I spent some time back in California.
Oh, you went home?
Yeah, went home for
Okay.
a little bit. Just try to find different jobs. Obviously, it's real expensive to live in San Francisco. So I worked a couple different financial services jobs. Was working at Deloitte, kind of coming out. Was doing some data analyst work. Went from there to one of our clients, which was Charles Schwab. Ended up working there for a little bit. And I don't think it was for me though, because I studied political science, and I think I got into it for like the cash and just trying to survive. But at the end of the day, I think my heart was in like politics and like doing the work that I'm doing now. So
for sure.
thankfully, it brought me back to Boston back in 2018. It was kind of like when I came back, and that's when the whole adult use market was kind of getting rolled out. So got to see that kind of happen firsthand, and like got to see the social equity program get developed. So I really felt like from that point on, I was like, hey, cannabis could actually be a policy area where I could focus. I kind of learn a little bit about, just because I mean I've always been involved with cannabis in one way or another.
Sure, yeah. Especially being from Cali.
Yeah,
bro.
exactly. Being from the Bay, like I had my medical card at a very young age, like with Prop 215 out in San Francisco. So from that point, I think even just knowing it from the culture wise, like I think it was something that I could put my feet into and like really understand kind of the business side of things, and then try to push forward on some of these social equity goals that were kind of established by the state, but didn't necessarily have some teeth. So once I left the office and started kind of going off on my own, I created this nonprofit organization called Mass Cultivate Ed. And what that
you're a part of that, bro?
Yeah. So
You're a founder?
Yeah, I was a founder of that organization, and then it's kind of grown since that time, become a statewide organization. And just for people who are listening, we basically are a nonprofit that help people who are impacted by the war on drugs or came from communities impacted by the war on drugs, and help them to get into the industry. So we would help them to clear their records of any kind of criminal charges, whether it was cannabis or another type of charge. We would help them get some cannabis education and kind of learn how to be in the industry. And once they got their certificate, we would place them in different jobs. So working in like a retail dispensary like Major Bloom, or actually working at a cultivation facility, or on the corporate side of things. So it was just really good to, help people in that kind of way. And I think that's really what taught me how hard it is to run this business. Whether you're a bud tender or an owner, there's so many different compliance issues you guys have to go through, and it's really hard to kind of keep that business going. So learning some of those issues, learning the barriers that some of the folks that I was trying to help were facing, it got me into more of the business kind of advocacy and trying to figure out ways that we could make the program a little bit stronger.
That's amazing, bro.
I like that. Is your passion really in like bringing a voice to people in do you feel like that's like the joy in what you do, where you get to bring a voice to people that don't know even how to project their voice in an industry like cannabis?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing too is just like bringing all of the people together. I think that you can see in our industry, people like to try to figure it out on their own. So it's just like, all right, there's people who have done this in different states, have been doing this during the legacy market. So how can we bring all these different people together to kind of work and build a stronger industry? So I think that's like number one, is just like coalition building and convening all of these different experts and voices, so that we can kind of learn from you all, because on the politics side, they don't really know anything about this industry. So it's really up to the industry to educate them. So I think that's the biggest thing. And then also like teaching people about the political process. Again, I said like cannabis is politics from day one. So like trying to teach people how to navigate that process in the best kind of way. And I think every industry has some type of trade association, type of group that is that voice that unifies everybody. And since we're a new industry, it's been one of those things that we haven't had. And so I'm just trying to kind of build that together.
Yeah, I feel like that's so important, because as you said, in a new industry, awareness is so important in just being able to grow that industry, because I feel like you already see it in the past with cannabis. All it takes is a bad awareness about something, misinformation.
Oh, we got to talk about that, bro.
It's
some bullshit happening right now. But I just, before we take the break, if you can tell me when you found it, what is it again?
Mass Cultivated Ed, yeah.
Right. When was that? What year was it?
Yeah, so that was in 2019 is when we officially launched it. And we had our first class, unfortunately, in 2020, right as COVID was happening. But
you guys are doing that at the community college, I think, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So we started it at Roxbury Community College with like a small group of like 6 or 7 people, and then we're able to place them in dispensaries across the state. And then once we were able to build it at our RCC, Holyoke wanted to get it going. We had Northern Essex wanting to get it going, Middlesex. And so we were able to expand the program to different community colleges and different communities, and now we're able to kind of take part in it. And it's still going. We got a whole team that's like still pushing it forward. Still a little bit challenging now because, the industry, there's been a lot of turnover, closures. So I've had people who we placed into jobs who have been laid off and now looking for new positions, etc. So it's still a challenge, but still trying to do the best we can, like, with the limited resources that are out there.
No, it's amazing. So we're here with Ryan Dominguez, guys. Dominguez, right?
Yeah, Dominguez.
Very good. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. All right, cool. Yo,
see Rayvon?
Yeah, Rayvon's here, bro.
I was like, I think I saw Rayvon.
Yo, only thing, too, is that the mic is pushed over a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Gotta get rid of that shit in the background, too, bro.
I think...
No, it's amazing, bro. I didn't realize that you started that shit, bro.
Yeah, I was about to say, I remember seeing that like not long ago. Like,
Yeah.
Courses, and I was like,
and it's still going. It's just like the problem is like it's hard to get funding now. Like before, like you know, what I mean, people were like, oh yeah, we want to do this, and then once the CCC was like, oh, we're not really checking whether or not you pay these people or not. They're not like even cutting the.
All right, we are back. Rayvon joined us. What's up, Rayvon?
Hello, what's going on?
Chilling, chilling. We're here with Ryan Dominguez, bro.
What's up?
Chilling, chilling. Let's clap it up for both of these guys here. Rayvon was lifting weights, as we were saying before. You were in the gym.
Something like that. Just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit, bro. No, that's what's up. So happy to have Ryan back here with us, and we just kind of left off a little bit talking about cultivate ed. And I was curious because earlier before you said that you guys help with cannabis charges and other charges.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
So what are some of the other charges that you would see outside of cannabis?
Yeah, because you know, with the war on drugs, it wasn't just cannabis charges that people had on their records. Honestly, sometimes they use cannabis as a way to
Get
other
right.
things, like search your house, search your car, and then they will find like a firearm or something like that.
Right.
Or they'll try to get you on some trumped up charge like resisting arrest or assault on a police officer. People just like, you know, trying to get away or whatever it may be. So saw a lot of those type of charges. I feel like those were probably the main things that we saw. And then also I think there's a lot of folks that were out here and maybe they didn't just make their money off of just cannabis. So there maybe be other drug possession or, you know, intent to distribute type charges on there. And we weren't trying to discriminate off of just like cannabis. So we were helping people regardless of what their charges were to like clear anything that can get taken off of their record.
Wow, that's amazing work. Because, you know, Rayvon, he was a dangerous kid. He was in the social equity program, so he had a little. I'm just kidding. He didn't have any charges. It was just because of where he grew up and stuff. But how did you guys kind of work alongside? And that was a joke. Rayvon's a great kid.
I could tell. He got like a friendly face.
Not too friendly though. Don't fuck with me.
But yeah, so how did you guys work in conjunction with the equity program? Because he is in the second cohort, right, or first? Third cohort, which was 2022.
After COVID. I guess soon. It was like right after COVID.
Right after COVID. Gotcha. Okay. All right. Yeah. So how did you guys?
So it was one of two ways. So on the front end, we would work with the CCC's social equity program team. So like, shout out to Celia, shout out to Darius.
Celia.
Yeah, Celia.
Celia.
Yeah, Celia Williams. She's
Celia. She's still there.
She's still there.
She's like one of the legacies that's still there, bro. My bad, Celia. I know you, Celia. I know you.
But they would, always open us up to recruiting people at their events. So when they would go out for the social equity program and market it to, different communities, we'd be able to plug into some of their programming and let people know, like, there's other sides of this that you can actually get into with the social equity program. You don't necessarily need to go in and try to open up a dispensary or a cultivation facility. You can actually get in and try to get a job, start a career. And so we would just offer those opportunities to people on the front end. And then on the back end, there's people who kind of came through our program. And once they started working at a retail dispensary, started working at cultivation, they're like, hey, I've been doing this since like the legacy market. I think I can actually do this as my own business. And so we would help them through applying for the cannabis social equity program. We'd work with the CCC to do like information sessions for some of our program participants. And then once they got in, we would kind of help them by connecting them to the rest of the network of people that we had. So, all of the lawyers that were helping us, all of the different accountants. And so as people are going through this whole process, we can kind of help them plug into all the resources. And now that we have the Social Equity Trust Fund, that's also another resource that we can offer up to people, giving them information about how to apply and what they're looking for, et cetera.
That's amazing, bro. I might have some. I might have to tap in. I didn't realize that was a side of what you do, bro.
Yeah, definitely.
That's amazing, bro. So how did you transition into where you are today? Because I keep referring to your name without plugging your executive director, correct?
Yeah, so I'm the executive director of the Massachusetts Cannabis Coalition today. That's a trade association that represents every license type that we have in Massachusetts. So currently we have over 90 members, ranging from some of the large, like kind of multi-state operators down to social equity, single, retailers like yourself. I even have delivery operators and testing labs as part of our group. And so how I got into starting the MCC.
Wait, you started that too?
Yeah. So with the MCC, it was a collaboration though. I can't say with all of these things, Mass Cultivated,
That's all right,
MCC,
bro.
It's not just me.
I mean, but you're there from the origin and exploring the development of the idea for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So I think I was on the ground floor, helped to build it, but shout out to all the operators and my team members who have helped me kind of along the way in terms of starting it all up. And really what got me started with that was from Mass Cultivated. There were all these barriers in place for people to actually get into these jobs because they have very strict background check requirements. They call it suitability requirements in the regulations. And so was trying to do a lot of advocacy with the CCC to change those suitability requirements for people who are coming through Mass Cultivated. And that's what was my kind of first foray into doing cannabis advocacy. And then once they were able to kind of change that, some of my partners through Mass Cultivated, some of the cannabis licensees were kind of letting me know about all the other issues that they were dealing with, whether it was host community agreements, whether it was like badging, et cetera. So I started learning a lot more about the business side of things and seeing all these businesses close. Like it wasn't good for Mass Cultivated. It wasn't good for the industry. So made me want to explore, different ways that we could expand the advocacy that we were doing. And so back in 2023, I know there was a whole regulatory round around host community agreements. And so a group of like 6 or 7 operators got together and were saying, hey, would love to try to formulate a kind of opposition to the municipalities who have been bleeding us dry as licensees for so long. And so we were able to put this small group together, with pool our resources, hire an attorney, bring me on to be able to do some advocacy with the CCC, and then hopefully kind of get some of the changes that we were looking for. and I thought that was a success. Obviously, you know, some municipalities are still trying to hold out to get some of the
Are
money.
they though?
Yeah, some
You
of them.
want to name them?
Oh, I don't want to name them all right now because I know some of them are in lawsuits, etc. But yeah, there's a few.
I'm thinking about both Carolines, bro. They came out successful, both of them, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Both of them, yeah.
Both of them. So I think
I'll
that's
say
the thing.
Uxbridge and Haverhill or what is it? How you say it
Haverhill.
properly? Haverhill. Yeah. Both
Hey,
Carolines.
I'm still
both,
trying to learn the names of all these cities
I
and towns
know.
out here.
Yo, that's so funny, bro.
Yeah, so from there, I think, you know, people wanted to start a real organization and
Right.
just see what other things we can push forward on. And then from there, just kind of went out, met all the different operators like yourself, try to learn a little bit more about your pain points, and then see if like people want to come together,
Right.
use the MCC as a platform to kind of discuss all of these different ideas and push forward as a unified voice, really.
Oh, that's amazing, bro. So it seems like mass cultivate ED is embraced by especially the social equity program. And then, by the way, did you work with Shakia at all?
Yeah, I got to work with Shakia.
Ah,
She was
no
already
doubt.
with the city of Boston at that point when I started working with her.
'Cause
So
she was like 18 to like 20, maybe 21.
exactly.
See, when you had mentioned the other young lady's
Silly,
name, yeah, I was like, oh yeah, you know what I mean. But no, Shakia, shout out to Shakia, bro. So yeah, I'm sure that they embraced mass cultivate ED, but how about MCC, bro? Was that as embracing by the CCC?
Yeah, I mean, that was a hard thing, to be honest with you. I think there was a lot of history with trade associations in the past. And so I think there was a lot of concern from the industry and themselves of like, okay, what kind of group is this? Like, what
Right.
are they going to be trying to push for? Who's involved in the group, et cetera. So I think there was a lot of trust building that I needed to kind of push forward before people kind of were open to joining and like having the conversations. And the best thing that I could do was offer everybody a seat at the table, offer everybody a chance to have their voice be heard in some of these kind of debates that we were having in the industry around policy. And so once we started, you know, bringing people in and they realized like, okay, we might not all agree on the different policy issues, but this is a place that we can actually hash out these differences without it becoming like, you know, a huge fight or people kind of throwing shade at each other. And we can actually get into the data of it all and like really try to break down some of these policy issues. I think people wanted to be a part of that. And I think once they saw like, hey, you know, anybody can be part of this and push forward on advocacy that really makes sense for their license type, or they started learning that, hey, even if I'm a retailer or I'm a cultivator, we're dealing with some of the same issues, so we can push forward together on those. And so after people kind of came into the fold, started learning a little bit more, I think then the trust was starting to be built there. I mean, there's still, you know, some issue topics out there that are controversial that I know that we are supporting, but at the same time, it's one of these things that we've been able to kind of build more of a coalition around, like so many things that we can all agree upon within the industry, that I think that's what really is the focus for a lot of these, you know, policy kind of debates and that we're pushing forward.
Wow, that's amazing, man. So I just want to plug real quick. So again, we're joined by Ryan Dominguez he's the executive director of Massachusetts Cannabis Coalition, right?
Yep, MCC for short.
So yeah, man. I mean, you can't throw out too many acronyms for the listeners because even I get lost in the acronyms, bro.
Oh man, tell me about it.
And that's probably one of the questions I had too. Is that like you mentioned that there are other trade associations, like. How does that? I mean, I know how like from the business perspective, right? Like, all right, we got good chemistry, we got DM down the road, and we are indirect competitors because we offer almost the same solution for people, but like not really. You know, our branding's different. You know what I mean? We might carry different products, whatever it may be. So how does it work with other trade associations that seemingly could be direct or indirect? Like I'm thinking about one right now. I think it's MBCA or like MBCC or something like that, bro. Right, like David.
Yeah. So
Right.
there's a Cannabis Business Association with Dave O'Brien. I know that there's a Mass Eon with Kevin Gilnack.
Right.
And,
We even had
Monty.
we had damn, I can't even think of the name. It's me, Peyton Marcus.
Yeah,
bunch of people that
the
don't
Block.
operate the block, bro.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
like. You know what I mean? So like, yeah. So how do you handle, you know, and work alongside those types of?
Yeah, and I think that's the thing is just like keeping an open line of communication. I think that since we are one industry, like there's always going to be things that we can find common ground on and push forward together on that. And so it's just continuing to have that kind of dialogue with the other kind of trade associations, and then trying to figure out ways that we can partner or collaborate on certain issue topics. So, for example, and I think we can get into this a little bit later, but like the ballot initiative piece,
Yeah,
there's prohibitionists out here who are trying to kill our whole industry.
Yeah.
And I think whether you're, Mass Eon with social equity operators, Mass CBA, like this is all something that we care about collectively. So I think that's something that we could always work on. Currently, I'm also working with Mass Eon on trying to, provide a voice around this kind of disproportionately impacted areas
Zoning.
and communities discussion of
I've
them
been getting
trying
those
to
emails, bro.
exactly they're trying to expand like what communities are part of the social equity program, and I think that's something that we've heard from our social equity members that is a concern for folks. So given that that's a shared priority for us at MCC and Mass Eon, I think that's something that we can collaboratively work on. And so that's just been the way that we've been working. I think even with the testing labs that sometimes we don't always agree with the testing labs on like what we want to push forward in terms of testing changes. They know that they're part of the ecosystem, and that their revenue and their success is based on the success of the cultivators, etc. So I think once we start realizing that we're all part of the same ecosystem and we can find different ways for us to work on things together, that's how we can kind of collectively come together.
That's amazing. We gotta clap it up for Ryan. And I'll tell you guys why, because he left a little carrot dangling for you all about a ballot initiative. So what we'll do on our next segment, our next episode, is talk through that a little bit, because I don't know his name. I never met him directly. I think it's Chris, Talking Joint.
Yeah,
I sent it to you last night. I don't know if you watched that video, bro.
No, I even see it. No.
Yo, he is on it, bro. He is on it just in terms of keeping people informed. And then obviously, like, I think a month and a half ago, me and you and Donahue were together, and I got his perspective. And I kind of relayed that to my team, but I feel like the heat's been turned up a little bit. And I'm like, I don't know if we should just be, like, chilling, you know what I mean? So I want to thank Ryan again, guys, and Rayvon for joining halfway through. And you guys have just been infused. Come back for our next session, and we're going to talk about the ballot initiative for the anti-cannabis people that are lingering out here in Massachusetts. So very good. You guys have just been infused. Peace, peace. So we are back for our games right now, as we're still live on the internet.
Cool.
So you guys are cool with diving into it right now?
Let's do it.
All right, cool. So what would you prefer, bro? Would you prefer to do the naming the strains, or would you want to go for this big-ass box of weed here and guess how much is in there?
Yeah, let's. I've been looking at this box of weed for a minute, so let's start there.
All right, cool. So let me show it off for the internet here real quick. This, I don't even know the amount in terms of the size of this, but let's see if I can get the lid off, get the smell going in here for us. Careful, this is precious cargo here. Yeah, so we just picked this up last week. I'll give this to you guys. Rayvon is part of this game too. He's gonna guess. He might even know, just based on our production schedule. I don't know if you've been watching it. No? All right, bet.
Okay, Ryan, I'm gonna let you go first, of course.
All right.
So you can do it in grams, you can do it in whatever unit of measure, and I'll convert it. Kilograms if you want.
Okay. Let me see here. To me, it looks like a pea, so I would say like a pound.
Okay. That's your answer?
Here's my answer.
All right, cool.
I was gonna say 2P.
2P?
Yeah.
PP?
2 pounds.
You guys ready?
Yeah.
It's 2.5 pounds. So Rayvon, no, you got the
Close.
under, bro.
That's close.
Yeah, you got that one, bro. You got it, because if you go over, that's when you're like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, but no, this is 2.5, so it's 1,140 grams, so a little over 2.5. So yeah, good job, Rayvon. For sure. All right, so this next segment is how many strains you can name in 1 minute, bro. Ooh. Yeah, man. So the top dog was what's his name?
Was it
last week?
Last week it was Sam.
Sam, that's his name, yeah.
Sam hit like 34, 35.
Something like that. I think it was 30.
I know he
to
passed
33.
the record was already like 31.
31,
32, so
yeah.
he passed that. I think it was 34.
34?
Was he a bud tender or like a cultivator?
Nah, he's a cultivator, bro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he knows all the strains.
Yeah, bro. And he was like well prepared too. So some people know strains, but they just kind of get choked up.
Yeah, exactly. I'm bad with names, but I'm gonna go through all the ones that I like.
All right, bet,
so,
bro.
yeah.
So as soon as you name your first one, Rayvon's gonna start the clock. Then I'm gonna count.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I think I've been smoking purple for a while, so I would say Granddaddy Purple, Purple Kush, Blue Dream is another one that I like to smoke. Runts, Girl Scout cookies. LA Confidential is actually one of my all-time favorites. Bubba Kush, another one. Let's see. Dosey Dose is another one that I've smoked lately that was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Khalifa Kush is another one I smoked recently that I liked.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Oh, I gotta shout out. There's one from Todd over at I think it's like GLP or GLD.
Yes, GLD, bro.
GLD,
yeah, that's 10. You're at 10, bro.
That I like that one. How much time I got left? I'm
2
already 2 seconds off.
That's all right. No, I fuck with that approach, bro. You want to know why? Because, all right, so Sam is a cultivator. He's not going through what he likes. He's going through what he knows. And you're over here, like, giving us moments, the ones that you like. So exactly. You beat the lowest guy, which was 3. So you don't have to worry about that. But 10 is usually people fall between, like, 10 and, like, 15.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Rayvon, how many did you do?
I've never done it.
Oh, my God.
Oh, we might have to put you on the spot.
Yeah, you might have to.
Right now?
I've never done it. I'll do it right now.
All right, bet.
All right, I'll time.
Someone else
Yo, let's go, dude.
Oh, man.
Let's go. This is going to be great.
All right.
Fuck.
As soon as you say your first one, bro.
Runts, black runts, pink runts, gelato 41. Obviously, I meant gelato 33 the first time. So gelato 41, Dosido, LA Kush Cake, LA Confidential, LA Pop Rocks, GMO, Garlic Breath, Sour Diesel, Girl Scout Cookies, East Coast Sour Diesel, Ice Cream Cake, Permanent Marker, K Dynamite, Banana Conda, Benoreos, Banana Bread, Motor Breath, Tropicana Cookies, Cookies and Cream, lemon pastries, lemon OG Haze, Cure Lotto, Bow Lotto, Rainbow Pie, Rainbow Runts, Pink Skittles, Pink Runts. I already said Pink Runts.
5 seconds.
Purple Candy, Purple Granddaddy Purple, Syrup Cream Pie.
Oh, we got a new record.
Oh, that's a new record?
Yeah, that's 36.
Fuck, that was 36. Man.
Lauren was the 3. He was the one that had 3, bro.
Oh, man.
Yo, it's so funny because a few weeks ago, Rayvon was like, what do you even think about for a minute when you only say 3 strains?
Like, what's in
I
your
was
head,
like,
bro?
yo, what's in your head? Bro, that's a new record. That was 36, I
Wow.
want to say. We have to run the cameras back. We have to do
Yeah.
an officials review.
Word.
But I'm pretty sure that was 36.
Yeah, that's good. New high.
Give or take, bro.
Live in the flesh.
Yeah,
Fresh
that's
like
what's
diamonds,
up.
baby.
Yeah.
Come on now.
That's what's up, bro.
Oh, man.
Oh, that's what's up. I didn't realize you never did it before.
No. I've just always thought about what I would say.
Right.
And then just ran off.
You've been practicing, bro.
Let's keep it calm. Let's keep it calm.
He's been my home in the mirror.
yeah,
that's bad funny. All right, very good. So, yeah, Ryan, what we'll do is we'll get into the second half of the show. So it'll be the same 2 14-minute segments. Cool. And I would probably say that, yeah, I mean, honestly, the ballot initiative, bro, like, especially because I have a meeting in a little bit that I have to kind of address it with the team.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to act like I know what I'm talking about. What time is it? 2 or 2:30?
2.
It started 2?
The meeting, yeah.
Yeah.
The meeting started 2, yeah.
Oh, no doubt. All right, I'm going to push it back then. We only need, let's see. All right, we'll do that. Okay, let's get into it then.
Cool.
What up, y'all? You're now listening to Infused Influence, where we're infused by weed culture, cannabis business, and its politics through conversations with special guests. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
All right. We are back with another episode of Infused Influence. I'm your co-host Ulysses, and today we're joined with Rayvon. What's up, Rayvon?
Hey, yo, how you doing, sir?
Pretty good. How are you, bro?
I'm gonna. There's a lot of factor in here. I guess I'll say 7.4 out of 10.
Wow, that's 0.1 lower than last week.
Well, yeah. So, realistically, I just won the strain game, or I just put up, my jersey in the rafters for it so far until someone come take that from me.
That's what's up.
And then secondly, Rayvon just got to go eat some food. That's
Yeah.
all.
Oh, that's it, bro. You got interrupted. He was working out hard this morning, bro.
Oh yeah.
Now he's hungry.
Yeah.
So you want to introduce our guest, bro?
Well, of
You
course, we got a
try
special
it?
guest here. I didn't pronounce your first name yet, but I think I could get it. Your last name yet?
Right.
Ryan Domingo, correct?
Dominguez.
Damn.
Yes, sir.
Back
Ryan
with us
Dominguez, my
again.
fault, bro.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show. Happy to have you here, bro.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. So Ryan is the executive director of MCC, also one of the founders, you said, right?
Yeah.
And then also one of the founders of Mass Cultivate Ed.
Yep.
So two nonprofit organizations.
That's correct.
Very good. So yeah, happy to have you back here. And for the listeners, last week or last session, we were talking a little bit about his work and travels from California to out here in Boston to be a Husky at Northeastern, and then basically how he just kind of developed these organizations within the cannabis space. And one of the current topics now for policy in cannabis is, will adult use be repealed, bro? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I think it's definitely a threat that was out there that we've been monitoring, and I guess just a little bit of background for the listeners. There was 2 ballot initiatives that have been filed to repeal the adult use market, and then one of them, they're pretty much similar. One of them just kind of keeps the medical and then puts some THC caps, so it's a little bit of a different kind of ballot initiative, but both of them, were filed by prohibitionists who are trying to roll back cannabis, and not just in our state, but there's also been one filed in Maine as well. And so this is something that's happening kind of nationally, and it's something that they really want to just maybe try to see what state they'll be able to repeal it or roll it back, and use that as a model to kind of spread some of these initiatives across the country. And so what we're doing right now, and in terms of a threat level for it, is just kind of monitoring, are they going to be able to get the signatures that they need? And so I guess from a process standpoint, they filed the ballot initiatives with the Attorney General. The Attorney General then, reviewed it, made sure that it was, okay with the current laws, and was able to approve that to the next step. So the next step that they're currently in is collecting, give or take, about 75,000 signatures, which will be then moving them on to a secondary step, which is they're going to go and put this ballot initiative in front of the state legislature, so in front of folks like Donahue, in front of folks like Senator Gomez, and then have them actually consider whether they're going to pass those ballot initiatives as a bill.
Yeah. So they can say no.
They can say no.
Oh, come on, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
Those 3 could say no.
Well, it has to be the whole legislature to kind of pick it up and decide whether or not they're going to push that forward.
Right.
I will say that I don't think that the legislature at this kind of late stage in the game is going to consider it or entertain it, because of the fact that, hey, we're doing so much, benefit for the rest of the state as well as the cities and towns, either through our tax revenue that we're generating for the state, things that are going to like the MBTA, to local communities, to schools, et cetera, to the Social Equity Trust Fund, and the CCC. So I don't think that they will consider it in that kind of a serious type of way. But I think our biggest concern is that even if they don't pass it as a bill, all they need is to collect an additional, give or take, 15,000 signatures, and then from there they can get it onto the ballot in 2026, when also Governor Healy is up on for a re-election, et cetera. And so that may drive a lot of folks to the polls to then, either vote one way or another on it. So I think right now it is a concern for us, because it's a huge threat to the rest of the industry if we even let it get to a point where it hits the ballot. I think also, as we've seen from reports from Talking Joints memo, from a lot of licensees in the industry, there's a lot of MCC members that have been in their local communities, have talked with some of the folks who are collecting signatures, and they're using these kind of deceptive tactics to get people to sign in on these ballot initiatives, like telling people, hey, it's a way for us to protect cannabis from kids. It's a way for us to stop people from being arrested for cannabis again. But these people aren't reading the fine print, and they're kind of being deceived into signing this. So I think what people have been doing in terms of doing anti kind of signing campaigns, like Meg Saunders has kind of pushed forward on. I know there's people like Talking Joints memo and other industry stakeholders who have reported this over to the Attorney General. I think that's all helpful information for us to kind of get out there, so we can show that the other side isn't being truthful in the way that they're pushing forward these ballot initiatives. But I do think that it's going to be a challenge for us to be able to stop them from actually going out into the market and getting the signatures they need without us kind of coming together as a full industry to put together an opposition campaign. So one of the things that we've been working on at the MCC is having these conversations with like Dave over at Mass CBA, having conversations with Massillon and Kevin, and then also bringing in some of these national organizations that were working on cannabis. So had a conversation with Marijuana Policy Project, who's going to be at our annual meeting on Friday to talk a little bit about this in terms of what they are doing in other states to fight back against these prohibitionist kind of ballot initiatives. And then also thinking about, okay, can we get national resources to help us out here on the ground in Massachusetts? So I think the biggest thing for us as an industry is to kind of come together under a unified umbrella and then push forward on an opposition campaign. Doesn't need to be a bunch of people doing it on their own. I think if we can have a coordinated effort, coordinated talking points, coordinated education campaigns, that's really what's going to stop this from moving forward.
Right. So one of the things that you mentioned, and I appreciate that explanation. And again, we're here at WICN 90.5 Infused Influence. We're joined with Ryan Dominguez from MCC, the executive director for MCC. And my thought with the deception of the signatures, and I got this directly from Chris. I didn't do any research on it. I just saw him on a video talk about if there are more than maybe like 10, 15, 20 counts of like fraud signatures that would shut down the initiative. Is that something that is being considered when we put it in front of the Attorney General, that like these people are literally lying to collect signatures? So
yeah, and I think that's definitely, let's keep reporting those over to the Attorney General so they can kind of investigate it. In terms of my conversations with MPP on the national level and with some of the attorneys, it is still really hard to kind of make that case to the Attorney General. Similar to like when they filed the ballot initiatives initially, like you can try to challenge that at the Attorney General level, but it's kind of one of these things where they're checking a box, and like in terms of trying to go through and prove which signatures are kind of were fraudulently kind of signed. It's a tough task, and I don't know if necessarily if that's where we should put all of our resources into. I think it's still something where we should be reporting it, sending in letters so that they're aware of it, and it is something for us to kind of take into the opposition campaign. But in terms of our success rate, in terms of shutting down the signatures through some of these reports, it will be a challenge and an uphill battle. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it is something that some of the kind of folks at MPP and some legal experts have told me it's not necessarily something that can just happen overnight.
Well, one thing you mentioned too was that it's 75,000, give or take, to get it to the legislator, or at least in front of the committee. But you also mentioned another 15,000 could automatically get it to the ballot.
Yeah, so they basically have to get 75,000 for it to be considered by the legislature, and then if the legislature does not push it forward as a bill, they have to get another 15,000 on top of that 75,000 to be able to kind of push it forward. So like and I'm using general numbers. There's actually like a actual specific number. I'm just kind of rounding up a little bit, but in total they need kind of 90,000 signatures to get it onto the ballot. So
by when?
By next spring.
Okay.
So 75,000 by end of this month, and then another 15 by next spring.
What do you think, Rayvon? This is all news to you, bro?
Not necessarily news. It's just definitely something that's not talked about. Like while we're actually talking about it, I'd like to give a shout out to one of our listeners, Mike Stolfi. Mike reached out to us through some way on Major Bloom's website. And
Did I send it to you?
Yeah, you sent it to
I
me.
did.
He reached out and asked for us to talk about this topic, and he was like, yeah, no one's talking about it. Like, the people should be informed because most people don't know jack squat about it.
Yeah.
And I'd like to applaud you. You actually gave a rather eloquent explanation on what it is for the average guy, because it's tough, and the whole lying with signatures is kind of bad.
Yeah.
People just sign some shit like, yeah, get weed away from my kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Does anyone know if they're closer to 75,000?
Yeah, so I think the biggest challenge is they have funding behind this initiative, and they've hired, one of the main consultants that does signature gathering. And so, we've seen ads for them hiring people within Massachusetts or out of state to actually come in and collect those signatures, and pretty much you get paid per signature that you get. And so with the money that they're actually pouring into this initiative, I think that they have a really good chance of getting that goal. And even with the 75,000, and I think this is why I was saying challenging the signatures can be a little bit of a challenge, because of the fact that they will collect like 100,000 just to get that at 75,000. So even if we knock down like a few of their signatures, they might still be able to get it. And so I think for in terms of a threat level, having kind of the resources in terms of funding, and then also having potentially some of these national prohibitionist organizations like SAM, which is like Smarter Approaches to Marijuana, like backing them, I think that's where we have to really put together a kind of combined effort. And I think thinking about your listeners and folks in the industry, we're going to try to put together, a political committee that needs to now raise money and then like run everything through a political committee. And I think there's just going to have to be talks between all of our different trade organizations and the national folks on like how that's all set up, because I do think it is better for us to come together as a unified opposition campaign rather than trying to do this all kind of on our own, which is kind of where it starts. But I think at the same time, once we get everybody to the table and like have this convening where we can work out who's going to play what role, how we're going to go out and educate people about the real behind the ballot initiatives, that's when we'll actually be able to push back and stop this from actually, kind of getting to the vote. But I think right now we're at the early stages of really trying to figure out how big of a threat this is. Thinking about, once we get this political committee started, running a poll. So I think that's also something that would be helpful for folks if you see, kind of polling happening, like going and answering those polls, so we can actually get, how many people are out there that will get behind and support killing this initiative if it actually gets onto the ballot, et cetera, because we really need to have some real numbers. I think everybody looks at what it was back in 2016 when we voted, and, maybe it's changed since then. And so I think we have to do some new polling to figure that out.
Interesting, man. So in 2016, it was a ballot initiative. So there was over 100,000 signatures, and didn't go to the legislature, right?
Yeah. So it went to the legislature. I don't think that they had the buy-in at that time to be able to push it forward. I think there was still like a lot of opposition.
Right.
And so at that point, they put it onto the ballot. And I think I forget what the numbers were, but I think it was somewhat close. I think it was like maybe like a 60-40 kind of split.
In terms of the voters?
The voters,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Or
think it was
like something-
64.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, but a lot of towns still said no.
Exactly. A lot of towns still said no. And, now that cannabis is actually out there, maybe it has led to a different feeling towards it. I know that, there's so many people who blame us for like the intoxicating hemp products, et cetera, or like kids getting, kind of their hands on cannabis, even though it's not necessarily coming from our dispensaries, et cetera. So I think that there is folks that are out there. We've seen them like show up to the state house to try to push prohibitionist bills and changes. So we just have to kind of get a better handle on like how real of a threat that is out there in terms of the voters.
Right. So again, guys, this is Ryan Dominguez with MCC, Executive Director MCC. We're gonna take a quick break and maybe dive into federal changes in a minute. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Infused Influence. Thanks for sticking with us through the break. I'm your co-host, Ray Vaughn. We got my co-host, Ulysses, with me, and our special guest, Ryan. If you missed the first half of the episode, the first half of this episode, we were just talking a lot about the new ballot initiatives in Massachusetts and Maine that are kind of just affecting the nation as a whole and the entire industry. And going forward, we're going to be talking about federal legalization.
Potentially.
Potentially.
Yeah.
What's that look like, bro? What you think?
Oh man, I want to hold my breath.
Yeah.
That's for sure. I think right now on the federal level, obviously the government is shut down, so nothing's really
Is there
happening.
though? What is going on right now? Honestly, people can't get their food stamps, bro.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
There's
what
a
is
lot
the
of talk
deal?
about that. I know I've read an article just yesterday that they're thinking about, a way to open it back up in terms of like the food stamps, like tomorrow potentially.
But why is it shut down though? I don't get it.
Yeah. I think they're using it as a kind of a political tool to try to get Democrats to kind of sign on to a spending bill that it will kind of take away maybe healthcare benefits, et cetera. So, everything's kind of just getting used, unfortunately, as these tools. And, that means the poorest and our most, vulnerable populations are the ones that have to suffer during that. But I think that's just kind of the political climate that we have right now on the federal level. I was actually just down in D.C. a couple of weeks ago for a lobby day with one of our National Trade Association kind of partners, and the Senate was still there working. We were able to meet with some staff from the House, so they're there. But at the same time, I don't think that we're going to see any kind of changes in terms of cannabis for a while. I think the rescheduling conversation is the one that kind of keeps coming up for folks. I know that there is a debate versus like reschedule versus deschedule, et cetera. So I think that's probably going to continue for a little while. I think that the one thing that is top of everybody's mind is around kind of intoxicating hemp and the hemp loophole. So I guess for just background for listeners, back in 2018 in the Farm Bill, they were able to legalize hemp, specifically 0.3% THC in hemp. And then from there, that created a loophole where hemp operators were able to kind of convert the CBD that was derived from hemp into THC products. And so that's why we see gummies, flour, vapes, et cetera, being sold at gas stations, smoke shops, et cetera, directly competing with your products. And so given that has been happening for a few years, I think that there has been a renewed interest on the kind of federal level to close that loophole. There has been talks that once the government opens, that there potentially could be some action in an appropriations bill that's being pushed over by Senator McConnell. He's getting a little bit of pushback from his other senator in Kentucky, Rand Paul, who is actually supportive of kind of keeping the things the way that they are and doing a study around hemp. So I think that's probably going to be
Real quick, just going
Yeah.
back, you had said, what was the name of the bill?
So it's a appropriations bill.
Appropriation?
for agriculture.
Wow, appropriation.
Yeah. So it's like the
Gotcha.
budget, basically.
Right.
Yeah. So trying to put something into the budget, and you'll see that here even on the state level. Like they try to pass different bills, like in addition to their spending bill every year, and so it'll be kind of a similar process, but just on the federal level.
Right, and that is exclusive to to hemp, or you think THC as well?
Yeah, I think it'll be exclusive to hemp if they're able to push that forward. Right now, Senator Paul is saying like he's not going to vote for reopening the government if they kind of try to keep pushing hemp, a hemp ban through appropriation. So if it doesn't happen, within a short time frame after they reopen the government, then I think we're going to be even waiting on any kind of hemp legislation until if and when any kind of farm bill gets updated. And then like rescheduling, I wouldn't hold my breath on any of those kind of changes. So in terms of the federal level, cannabis isn't necessarily just like a priority for folks. I think that they are looking at the hemp loophole as one of the main things on the federal level. And then we'll continue hearing different things around rescheduling until they decide to take any action. But I think with everything around healthcare, with the benefits, SNAP benefits, et cetera, it's very low on
Too
the total
much,
poll.
bro.
Yeah.
No, I understand. I mean, you mentioned, the priority. Weren't we at like a hearing phase for rescheduling at some point, or like a listening phase or something like that? But that's been
Yeah.
going on for like a year, no?
Yeah, I know, and it's because like once like this new administration kind of came in, DEA kind of puts out their point of view on different things, and so a lot of this stuff got kind of pushed down the road a little bit.
Right.
Like hearings got canceled, and so yeah, I think everybody just kind of keeps pushing it off.
Pushing it all.
Mhm.
I have the notion to think that our current president is just crazy enough to just do it without anyone's.
And
It's like, listen, just because I said so, we rescheduling it today.
And unfortunately, that may be the case.
That might be the case.
Because that's what I was hearing down in DC. Like, it's probably going to be like this administration. It might be like the
Right.
Republican Party that actually legalizes cannabis or reschedules.
Right.
And I think that's a concern because the reason why they'll be able to push that forward is because they don't care about
Right.
social equity
Equity.
initiative.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. So the things that I think, are holding up the conversation right now so we can protect equity operators is the same thing that the Republican Party doesn't necessarily care about and might just be able to pass it forward without any of these kind of protections or
Right.
changes. So I think, even if we kind of get to that point, it'll be kind of a double-edged sword. So
Right. Well, how do you envision it, especially from the perspective of state intervention and state regulation, right? So if the federal government, let's just say today, Trump came on the big screen and was like, cannabis is now Schedule 3. What do you think would happen to the state of Massachusetts?
Yeah, so I think for the state of Massachusetts, we would have to kind of get to the table and see how can we support operators like yourself and other operators that were Massachusetts kind of bred to, kind of prepare them for the changes that are kind of happening. And I think, even with rescheduling though, I don't necessarily see like the biggest changes in terms of like it being full legalization. I think you're going to get, access to 280E, kind of changes, et cetera. So I think that'll kind of help the business.
Not kind of, bro.
Yeah,
Tax liability is stupid, bro.
Oh, I know. And honestly, I think that's the whole thing too. Is like, at the end of the day, like as we move forward in this process, I know we're trying to change things like the
Right.
purchase limits, badging, et cetera. But at
Right.
the end of the day, it's the taxes that are
Bro,
really need to get
egregious.
changed to like make sure that you all are
I
financially
can't even think
viable.
about it anymore.
Yeah, so I think that's like phase 2 of all of this is like me kind of focusing on tax policy
Right.
at the end of the day, which we will eventually kind of get to. But obviously, we're trying to just work within the kind of system that we have. But once it opens up, it is going to be a challenge for, what can we do on Massachusetts to kind of preserve our industry here? How can we set up folks to be able to engage in, whether it's interstate commerce or like, how do we protect our social equity operators and our programs, et cetera? So I think those are probably the number one things that we need to look at. And I think that's what we should start looking at in terms of our laws and regulations today is like, how can we start setting it up where we can kind of plug into any changes that happen on the federal level a little bit more seamlessly.
Right. Yeah, because that's one of the things, man, that like, thinking about the tax liability, thinking about equity, it's like, all right, well, yeah, it'd be cool to pay less in taxes. However, one of my guys, CPA that I know, well experienced in his perspective is that as soon as that barrier comes down, then, you're going to see an influx of more investment dollars and more colonizers. He didn't use the term colonizers, but that's what I know he meant essentially. So you got the businesses that are, in theory are paying less in taxes because they're not subject to 280E, but you have a larger market because there's more investment dollars, right? So I always respected that perspective because like, you want to push for the 280E being removed, but you also have to think about like how easier it would be for people that have money to get involved. You know what I mean? Or people that are in it for the reasons of just, profiting as opposed to the people who have been harmed or reversing those harms. You know what I mean? So when that CPA told me that, I was like, wow, that's such an interesting perspective because I think you're right.
Yeah,
there's less risk, so there's going to be more people that want to get involved.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if we like change some of this banking as well, and you get access to kind of like what the Bank of America is, the Chases, like these big financial institutions of the world. Like some of the inherent, I think, racism in terms of banking, et cetera, are still going to be prevalent. Like it doesn't mean that you can go into a Bank of America tomorrow and get like the loan that you want, et cetera.
Right.
So it is kind of a tilted playing field for a lot of folks, but I think also new investment dollars could be really helpful for folks right now who are really struggling because like they have dried up in Massachusetts and in many other states. And so if it does give you kind of the lifeline to kind of keep this thing going or to scale up as you're thinking about, adding product manufacturing, cultivation, et cetera, maybe that's a good thing to also have access to these different things outside of just, I guess these predatory kind of financial institutions that are currently in cannabis or just like kind of the state-run banks, et cetera.
Right. So what do you think? You think it's about rescheduling? Do you think it's about The other option is just to legalize it. What's your
Yeah, so
opinion?
I think like obviously I think descheduling would be great, but I don't know if that's necessarily a step that they're willing to take at this moment. So I think like with rescheduling being one of those conversations that has happened over many years, and I think that speaking with members of Congress, like it is an idea that they understand a little bit more when it comes to kind of pharmaceuticals, et cetera, like the scientific research of cannabis, et cetera. I think it's an easier sell, so that may be the incremental step that we get. I know that comes with a lot of challenges, but I think that's probably where we end up if I had to kind of put money on it.
Right. So you think that it would be a reschedule before a full on, legalization?
Yeah.
Word, man. Wow, that's very interesting. I mean, I feel like a lot of groups are torn. Like there are some people that are like, not yet because of this X, Y, and Z. Let's make sure. But it's such a big lift because, I mean, if you look at some of the earlier states, especially on the West Coast, some of them did not even, like, from a state perspective, have equity. Like Colorado, bro, they didn't roll out their social equity till like 2022, like 12 years after, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Cali, from where you are, bro, like, they had weed, whether it was medical or recreational, but it wasn't prevalent. And like, I don't even still think that it's a successful equity. What are your
No, yeah, and they have a lot of equity programs on like the city level
Right.
that are kind of helping out, but
Right.
at the same time, yeah, it is really hard in California because of the fact that they had a huge kind of legacy market as well that people are just used to. So in terms of equity operators making that transition with all the regulation that they still have and the tax burden from the federal level, I think there's folks that were just like, I'd rather just stay in the legacy market and keep selling rather than doing it the other way around.
Man, that's crazy, bro. That's crazy. I mean, we can't get away with that here in Mass, bro.
Absolutely not.
I feel like there's, even in the streets, bro, people are like, there's no COA with that. I don't want it, bro. Awesome, bro. Yeah, we're going to clap it up for Ryan, though, for real, man. Just shedding some light and dropping some gems, for real. What you got, Rayvon? Anything in our last minute here?
No. Nothing. Just yeah.
Keeping it real. Rayvon's like, damn, they're trying to take away our weed.
Yeah, it's messed up, man.
It is.
I like the blunt 2 to 3 times a day, so don't take my weed away. You know what I'm saying?
Awesome. Don't take my weed away. That's going to be our campaign song.
Exactly.
Get Rayvon on the mic. Yo, Ryan, thank you again, bro.
I appreciate it.
For sure, likewise. And you guys have just been infused. Check out MCC and all their great work. And you guys have just been infused. We'll see you on the next episode. Peace.